Welcome everyone to lesson 19 for Education for Nepal English group. Check out our YouTube channel for past lesson recordings. First icebreaker of the day. What is your favorite animal? Feel free to type in the chat or say it out loud. No, does no one have a favorite animal? Tiger, dog, rabbit. So some people like pets, some people like animals that you cannot have as pets. Okay, cool. Next icebreaker. Would you rather have photographic memory or an IQ of 200? So basically, would you rather be able to remember everything you see, like, and never forget, or would you rather have an IQ, high IQ, just like intelligent quotient or whatever? IQ. Want to give an explanation of why you prefer high 200 IQ instead of photographic memory? Everyone's picking IQ here. Personally, I'd rather have photographic memory because IQ is like not that accurate, and it's just like so it's a weird type of measurement to say the least. Okay, today we'll start off with biology and then go into pop culture and then end off with astronomy. And the corresponding topics are on the screen. And we'll start off with biology, and today we're doing evolutionary biology.
Okay, so we're going to start first by defining what evolutionary biology is. So it's the subfield of biology that studies the evolutionary processes such as natural selection, common descent, speciation, that produce the diversity of life on Earth. Okay, and then so first I'm going to talk about natural selection. So Charles Darwin developed the theory of evolution by natural selection, and natural selection is also called survival of the fittest. And basically, this theory states that organisms best adjusted to their environment are most successful in surviving and reproducing. So if you see in the image below, the giraffe with like a longer neck could eat the leaves on the taller tree. And so that giraffe could eat more and then probably reproduce better as well, since it would live longer and eat more. So then after that giraffe reproduced, the giraffe population shifted to have longer necks because those with shorter necks couldn't survive because they couldn't eat, and then they also didn't reproduce as much.
Okay, so there are four types of evolution, being adaptive, convergent, divergent, and coevolution. So adaptive evolution relates to evolutionary changes that happen due to the changes in an environment. This makes the organism suitable to its habitat. So this is like when an animal or plant like adapts to its environment over time so that it can like survive there. The second type of evolution is convergent evolution. This is the process in which related or distantly related organisms evolve similar characteristics independently. Uh, and then finally, there's coevolution, which is the influence of two closely associated species. So basically, when two or more species evolve in company with each other, one species adapts to changes in the other species. Okay. Divergent evolution is a bit more complicated. So divergent evolution is the process of speciation. There's also like four types of speciation, although the last one is like not entirely like accepted yet in the scientific community. So the first type is allopatric speciation. This is when two species are separated by a physical barrier that separates the population into two groups. So like if they're like, so it'd be something like, let's say a river or like a mountain or something like natural that like separates these two species, and then they would just like evolve separately. And then there's parapatric speciation. This is a type of allopatric speciation that occurs when one of the new populations is considerably smaller than the other initial population. And then there's parapatric evolution. I think it's supposed to be speciation, my bad. This is also a type of allopatric speciation, but it occurs when the species diverge without a physical barrier separating the population. And this tends to occur when a population of a species is incredibly large and occupies a vast environment. And finally, there's the sympatric speciation. This is when a new species or subspecies sprouts from the original population while still occupying the same small environment and without any physical barriers separating them from members of their original population. Okay, we have two questions right now. Who gave the basic concept of evolution? That's Charles Darwin, I believe. He basically popularized the concept of evolution. And what is the most common cause of divergent evolution? Gracia, can you answer that?
Well, as Vincent just talked about the different types of speciation, those are kind of the causes of divergent evolution. Vincent, can you go back to the last slide? So like as he was saying, the allopatric speciation, like when species are separated from each other, that causes like a diverge in the evolution. So basically everything he just talked about kind of causes divergent evolution. Hopefully that answers your guys' questions, but if you want us to like explain more, you can let us know. But I'm just gonna move on to phylogenetic trees. And basically these show how a species is related. And where there's like a split or it's called a node, it represents a common ancestor. So in this image on the right, the lampreys and cartilaginous fishes are more closely related than the lampreys and ray-finned fishes. Um, it's a bit complicated to explain, so like if you're confused about it, like it's okay. Uh, Vincent, I don't know if you want to like add on about this more or like use your cursor to like show on the image or something.
You can annotate the screen if you need to.
Oh, okay. Sorry, didn't see that. Let me see. So this is like what a node is, and this is like where there's a split between the different like animals. And so I was saying that the lampreys and these fishes are more closely related than the lampreys and these fishes because uh they have a common ancestor here. But this fish is further away from the lampreys than these two. So hopefully that makes sense. And then basically all of these nodes here are all common ancestors of the animals. So like for reptiles and turtles, their common ancestor is here. And so yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Erase your annotation for like moving on to the next slide.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me clear. Okay. Okay, and then next I'm going to talk about a cladogram, which is also a bit similar to a phylogenetic tree, but cladograms show features common to each group. So the node closest to the start represents the characteristic that evolved first relative to the other characteristics represented by the cladogram. And the next one up from that was the next characteristic to evolve, and so on until the last node, which represents the most recent evolutionary development. So, like lungs are here, and then this is where it evolved, and then it moves on like that way, all the way until like the recent one. So, each one of the nodes is where the characteristic evolved.
Someone's asking, are lampreys still alive on Earth right now? I think.
Um, I don't think so, but I'm not entirely sure about that. I've never heard of them, so I don't think so.
If there are no more questions, we're moving on to pop culture, which we'll be discussing video games.
Okay, so the first game that we'll be talking about today is Minecraft. And this game was released in 2009 by Mojang Studios. And in the game, you create and break blocks in a 3D world. And the goal is to survive by making tools, building shelter, finding food, and defeating monsters. And oh, never mind. I guess the video can't load. You can just move on, it's fine. Okay, and then the next game is Super Smash Bros. This game was released in 1999 by Nintendo, and it's a crossover fighting game where the player uses attacks and fights another player until one of them falls off the stage. And some of the popular characters in the game are Mario, Yoshi, Kirby, Pikachu, and etc. And then League of Legends, 5.25 million people watched this year's finals, which was T1 versus DRX, and this was excluding China. League of Legends has a total of over 150 million players, and it's been around for 13 years. The finals took place in Chase Center, which is the Golden State Warriors' home court in San Francisco. And the ranks in League of Legends are iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master, and grand master.
Oh yeah, DRX won the finals, and I'm kind of sad because I didn't get to go watch watch it, even though the tickets are pretty cheap because they sold out like instantly. Okay, that's all for pop culture today. And here's our final topic, which is astronomy. We'll be doing black holes.
All right. Um, what is a black hole? I'm sure you've probably heard of them, but if you haven't, they're basically just large astronomical objects, and they have like a incredibly powerful gravitational pull, which causes like light to not be able to escape once any matter goes past the surface, which is also called the event horizon of the black hole. And that's because like black holes are like super dense. Yeah, and the velocity and speed required to escape the gravitational pull once you get past the event horizon exceeds the speed of light. All right. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Formation of black holes, they're basically born from the death of very large stars. Basically stars with, I'm going to cover how they're created right now. Basically stars with at least a solar mass of 20, which means it has like 20 times as much mass as the sun. Once it gets to the end of their lifespan, which is basically when they run out of energy to do nuclear fusion, it'll collapse and go supernova, which is essentially exploding like all of the matter of the star. And the crushed core at the end, if it still has at least 3 solar masses, it is dense enough to collapse into a black hole. As for the questions, I just covered how they're created. And the reason why light cannot escape a black hole is basically because of gravity. Black holes are basically like very massive, right? Which means they have a lot of gravity, which means, and the mass of the black hole is like incredibly dense. And and they're like really small as well. Basically the event horizon is really close to the singularity, which has like an infinite amount of mass, which causes any matter past the event horizon to be way too close and have like a really strong gravitational pull. All right, you can go to the next slide now. So the types of black holes, they're usually classified into 2 main classes by astronomers, which is either the stellar mass black holes, which usually have a mass of 3 to several dozen solar masses. And there's also supermassive black holes that weigh 100,000 to billions of solar masses. And those are usually found in the centers of galaxies, including our own Milky Way. There's also like estimated, I guess, to be an intermediate black hole, which is like between 100 to several 100,000 solar masses, but there is like very little proof of their existence. Does light attract energy without mass? Not sure what that question is asking. Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't light like a type of energy or something? Like light doesn't have mass, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't think so, right? It's just made of
It's just
photons or whatever.
photons. Yeah. Why light cannot escape black holes? Because black holes' gravity is very big. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, so now I'll talk about the 3 most massive black holes that have been discovered. And the first one, I don't know if it's pronounced ton or like TON. 618. And then the second one is IC 1101. And then the third largest is S50014 plus 81. I don't really know how they came up with the names though. Okay, so the first one is located near the North Galactic Pole in the constellation Canes Venatici, and it contains the most massive known black hole with a mass of 66 billion solar masses, with about 390 billion kilometer in diameter, and more than 40 times the size of Neptune's orbit. It shines with a luminosity of 4 times 1,040 watts, or as bright as 140 trillion suns, making it one of the brightest objects in the known universe. And the second one is the most massive galaxy known in the universe so far, and it's a super giant elliptical galaxy, and it's so devoid of gas, and hence the star formation rate in the galaxy is very low. And the black hole at the center of IC 1101 has a mass between 40 to 100 billion solar masses. I don't know if my computer's frozen or can you, okay, thank you. And the third one has a mass of about 40 billion solar masses, and it's classified as a blazar, which is the most energetic of all subclasses of quasars. And this is over 25,000 times as luminous as all the 100 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy combined. And its huge distance of 12.1 billion light years, it can only be studied using spectroscopy. And the central black hole of the quasar devours an extremely huge amount of matter, equivalent to 4,000 solar masses of material every year.
If there are no questions, that's the end of today's lesson. Please fill in this form to give us feedback.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming today. Feel free to ask in the chat if you have more questions. If not, that's the end, and you're feel free to leave now. And have a great day. Thank you, everyone.